Hello, and welcome to Tome Travelers, the podcast where we travel through tabletop RPG systems and settings of the past. I am Roxy, a recent newcomer to the vast worlds available to our imaginations in each of the core books we will be exploring. This podcast will follow the varied interests and collections of our host and my husband, John, the Tome Traveler. Okay, this week, this is kind of our episode 0, guys. I am Roxy, as I said, and this is my husband, John.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
We want to just take a moment and kind of tell you a little bit about ourselves and what you can expect from this podcast in the future. My name is, I've already said my name.
Yeah, you have.
Cut out that part, but you can fix that in post, right?
Absolutely.
But I'm new to gaming in the grand scheme of things. I have only come to RPGs in the last couple years. My first session was played in November of 2015, or maybe October, so we're coming right up on my 2-year anniversary of playing my first game, which was a Pathfinder game that John introduced to myself and my cousin Amanda and her boyfriend David and Amanda's son Levi to just kind of get him interested in things. He was asking questions about Dungeons and Dragons, and I knew nothing. And John and I had been dating for a few months, and he's been in it forever, which he'll tell you more about that. A lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about in this podcast is really going to be new to me as well. And hopefully it'll be new to some of you, and hopefully it won't be new to all of you that, some of this is, a trip down memory lane to some of the older systems that maybe you haven't played or seen in a while.
Yeah. So my name's John. I've been involved in role-playing since I was in elementary school, I think. I started off getting into it with Palladium. I think my first game I ever played was Ninja and Super Spies. And I basically made a character that was a Logan Wolverine ripoff straight out of the book. I loved it. And that really is kind of what propelled me into this. And I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons and tons of other role-playing games throughout the years. I've even managed to go and turn this into kind of a career where I've been involved in the creation of some games. And hopefully we'll continue to do such in the future. So I think we are capturing the core concept of what our audience is to some extent, because there are going to be gamers like me who have been gaming for a long time, since, the origins of it or whatever, 40 plus years ago. Mm-hmm. And we look at these games, and maybe some people might know about these games, some people might not, some people might have other ideas, which I would love to hear. So if you are tuning in and you have ideas of old games that you'd like to hear about again, I would love to get that information.
Because our collection is not exhaustive by any stretch.
Oh, no.
This is literally just stuff that John has picked up over the years and played. I think most of his games he's played. I don't think we have very many on the shelves that he's not at least dabbled in a little bit. So, there's going to be tons of stuff that we ourselves are not familiar with, but would love to hear if there's a game system that you don't see anymore that we can look up and try to find. Just kind of see what else is out there. But this is really to introduce the audience to games that they just may not be aware of or have played before. Because for me as a new player, until the last year or two, John and I got married last year in 2016. And so before that, I knew nothing of most of the things that we're going to talk about. Really, role-playing games or tabletop games like that, all I knew of was Dungeons and Dragons. Pathfinder was news to me in 2015. So that gives you an idea of where I am. I am very new to this. Now, I consider myself a fairly intermediate player because we have played a lot in 2 years. Mm-hmm. But as far as knowledge of gaming, I'm a complete noob.
That's okay. And that's, like I said, that's kind of what I want to do with the show is I want people who are brand new to gaming. My mom has been interested in gaming for a long time, and she has absolutely no idea about any of this stuff. And so while she's older than me, she also would be brand new to gaming. Mm-hmm. And so it's an opportunity to hear about all these games from the past. It's an opportunity for people who were there to reminisce a little bit, hear about them. There's opportunities like our nephew, we ran that first Pathfinder game for him. He has stumbled into role-playing games. That's the best way I can think of
it. Stumbled, or he's dove in headlong. Levi is kind of a constant inspiration, but really he had heard of this stuff and he knew that we were kind of interested in it. I remember when Amanda's his mother, took him to a gaming store in Shreveport, which is where we were living at the time. And we asked the guy, they were like, what do you have for Dungeons and Dragons? I was vaguely aware of Dungeons and Dragons as being something that I wanted to get into based on, I had started watching Critical Role on the Geek and Sundry Twitch stream, and it was new then. It's blown into this huge thing that I don't even think the cast members anticipated. I was watching that, so had a vague interest, was looking for something that maybe I could try to run for him at home, him and his mom. Tome. John had recommended some things, but we picked up the D&D 5th edition starter set, and we never did anything with it, sadly, but I waited for John to do it because I didn't think I could GM. I still have not GM'd my first game. I have considered it, thought about it long and hard. It will happen someday. It just hasn't happened yet. But Levi has gone to the point where he has created his own game. He's not working within any set rule system. He is just getting his friends together after school, and they are playing with Lego minis and having a blast. We bought him a modular GM screen, or it's not really modular, but it's a he can essentially slide in his own sheets into each panel, and it's a double-sided. We picked it up at a game store.
It's kind of almost binder material.
Yeah, it's like a binder where you can slide in something into the cover. But so he's made his own GM sheet and GM screen, and he loves it. He basically just creates monsters on the fly. He's got books to look at. We have given him a stack of old books that he could do his own Tome Travelers show with the books that we've given him. But, watching him just really thrive in the hobby, and it gives him a creative outlet. So he used to fancy himself a writer, and he still does write, but he writes these adventures and these dungeon crawls for his buddies to go through. So it's really cool to see.
Oh yeah, and all the books that he's got are these books that were around when I was much younger. I mean, he's playing with 3rd edition D&D, so that's 2 editions prior. He also, I'm very happy he has a copy of Heroes Unlimited from Palladium, which is a system I got started with. So I'm really excited to see him having these opportunities. But to him, these are not old games. This is brand new to him. It doesn't matter when it came out or any of these things. It's about opportunity to play these things, and he is just having a blast. And so this is one of those things where I think the younger generation is seeing games coming back from my generation to some extent. Because like Torg came out this year on Kickstarter. It is one of the best Kickstarters of the year for 2017 as far as funding goes. And it is being put out by Ulysses Spiel. Torg was a game, it is kind of a very niche game as far as title and everything goes. And a lot of people were unaware of it, but nostalgia and just this dream and hope to get their hands on something new, it really exploded, and a whole new game audience is getting to know it. And I think that is amazing. I think it's one of the best parts about this time is we're on kind of almost a renaissance for gaming as far as board games and tabletop, pen and paper, RPGs. This is awesome to me. And I think it's an opportunity for people to get around with their friends again and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when you mentioned Torg, I think something came out at Free RPG Day. I think they were handing out some Torg materials. So there's a lot of people that may not necessarily pick up a game that they have to pay for, but if they can get a little taste of it from Free RPG Day.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bring back these old books. That's why we're kind of going with the name of the show, Tome Traveler. These are usually books that have been out of print, or they are an iteration of a game that is not the current style or the current way that game is being published these days.
For instance, we do have a Warhammer fantasy role-playing is in our stack here, but most people know Warhammer as the miniature-based war game. And so it is a different system than what we have in the book. But that stuff is still available in one form or another. In fact, Warhammer, I believe, is on a Humble Bundle right now.
Yeah, it is right now. And they're about to put out, I think it's going to be from Cubicle 7 Games. So awesome for them. I'm really happy. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it will be interesting to see if it goes back to its roots, because a lot of games like D&D 5th edition, a lot of people got excited about it because they felt that it went back to the roots with, 2nd edition and advanced D&D, putting more of the emphasis on story, and a lot of older gamers have gone back to Dungeons & Dragons that left. Even in 3rd edition and 4th edition, these older gamers are coming back and saying, I'm excited to see how it's going. And so with our show, what we want to do is we're going to be doing it as kind of a two-parter. There is going to be a part where we talk about the games, the history of them, time they came out, mechanics, story, and what happened to them. Where are they now? And then we're going to do something really exciting, in my opinion, and that is I'm going to run character creation. My wife, Roxy's going to be involved. We might pull other people in ever so often, just because I think there's nostalgia for some people out there who might get a kick out of it. But we're going to go through character creation and see, do these games really capture the elements that they tried to capture? Because I think that's part of the fun, is did this game really do what it set out to do?
Right.
And because honestly, I think that most of the games I have did. I would not have invested in them if I didn't. But the question is, do other people want to invest in them here and now at this point?
Sounds good.
So that's our goal with the show. And of course, my wife and I both operate a blog and a web presence online that's called Passionerdly. You can find us at passionerdly.com or on Instagram or Facebook, as well as Twitter and Tumblr. You can find us out there pretty much as Passionerdly. You're also online as...
I'm at Rooworks and that is ROOWERKS on both Twitter and Instagram. Passionerdly.com, just a side note, needs a lot of work and updating. So we've been cultivating our social media presence, and the website has kind of gone by the wayside, but that is going to change as we get into the podcasting and things like that. But yeah, that is how you can find us easily online.
And also with our episode 0 show, we definitely want to give a big shout out to Matt Quiet over at Nerds Domain.
Yes.
We had the opportunity to sit down with them at Gen Con 50 and talk about podcasting and ideas and where things are going. We've got kind of a partnership going on with them. So really cool, really excited. And then we just want to say thank you so much to him for all the information he gave.
Yeah, lots of help,
Absolutely.
Lots of tips and tricks. We went to all their panels while we were at Gen Con, and we learned we walked away with some invaluable information, and lunch with them was great and talking about things, and it really kind of lit a fire under us to get something together. We'd been talking about doing podcasts. We have another gentleman that may join us on a podcast in the future, but we've been really wanting to get into this for some time now, and I think it really kind of motivated us to get our ducks in a row and get out here on the air.
And fall in love with Indianapolis, because honestly...
Oh, we did too, yes.
Loved that town, loved the food there, and met some great people.
Met a lot of great people. I'm a Midwesterner anyway, so to move back to the Midwest or to have a reason to go there more often is definitely a plus in my book. It was a nice, it was humid. It's a lot more humid than I anticipated, but it was still very nice to return to the Midwest in the late summer and get a slight reprieve from the, it is humid here, but of Southeast Texas.
Yeah, that seems to leach the air out, or the water out of your body.
It does, yeah.
It does. Maybe that's why we're starting the podcast. Who knows?
Yeah.
So.
That's us, and that's the show, and I hope that you will join us. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 0, and this has been Tome Travelers with John and Roxy.
Thank you very much, guys.
This has been a production of the Southgate Media Group. For more podcasts like this one, head over to southgatemediagroup.com.